We know him as the architect of the Indian Constitution, as the man who gave voice to the voiceless, as the leader who rose from the bottom of the caste system to the top of the law. But Babasaheb Ambedkar was more than all that. Behind the statues, behind the black coat and the blue flag, behind the slogans, was a man made of flesh and fire. A man whose journey is filled with stories that most of us were never told. Today, on his Jayanti, we are not going to tell you what you already know. We are going to take you into the pages that were never turned in school textbooks. These are 5 unknown things about Babasaheb Ambedkar. Stories that will surprise you, inspire you, maybe even shake you a little. So don't forget to watch this video till the end. But before that, our usual request. Please do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already and press the bell icon to never miss an update. So let's begin. First, the thirst he could not quench. Imagine you are a child, maybe 8, maybe 9. You're in school. You have been sitting all day, learning, thinking, sweating under the sun. You are thirsty, your mouth is dry, your head is spinning, and just 10 feet away there is a pot of water. But you are not allowed to touch it. Not because of germs, not because you are sick, but because of your caste. That was Bhimrao Ambedkar's reality in school. He was the only Dalit boy in his classroom in Satara. The others knew he was smart, knew he was sharp, but they also knew he was untouchable. And so, he could not drink water unless the school peon poured it for him. One day there was no peon. He sat there, hour after hour, looking at that water pot, too scared to move, too thirsty to think. That day, he wasn't just thirsty for water, he became thirsty for justice. It's strange, isn't it? The constitution he later wrote gave every Indian equal rights. The right to food, to water, to dignity. But once upon a time, the boy who gave us those rights couldn't even take a sip of water. And maybe that's where revolutions begin. Not with big speeches, not with flags, but with a quiet, burning thirst. Second, the first Indian to earn a PhD in economics abroad. When we talk about Ambedkar, we often mention his fight for justice. But what we don't talk about enough is just how brilliant he really was. Babasaheb Ambedkar was the first Indian to earn a PhD in economics from abroad, completing it at Columbia University in New York. And he did not stop there. He went on to earn another doctorate in economics from the London School of Economics, making him one of South Asia's first double doctorate holders in the subject. Think about that. At a time when most Indians were still fighting for basic education, Ambedkar was mastering complex economic theory, public finance, and monetary policy. Subjects so advanced, even British economists took notice. But instead of using his education for fame or fortune, he returned to India and used it to fight inequality, draft the constitution, and build a better nation. For Ambedkar, education wasn't just about degrees, it was about revolution. The third, the religion he almost chose. Babasaheb Ambedkar's fight was against untouchability. He didn't just want to reform Hinduism, he wanted to escape it. And for that, he looked at other religions. Many people know that he converted to Buddhism in 1956, but few know that before that, he almost became a Sikh. Yes, you heard that right. In the 1930s and 40s, Ambedkar had serious discussions with Sikh leaders. He was drawn to the idea of the Khalsa, a casteless, fearless community that believed in equality and self-respect. He even thought of converting millions of Dalits to Sikhism. The talks went far. Some say he even prepared a plan to establish separate Dalit Sikh congregations. But something held him back. Perhaps it was the question of how Sikhs in India viewed caste and practice. Perhaps he felt that Buddhism had a deeper, older, and more universal message of peace and rationality. So in 1956, he stood up in front of 500,000 followers and embraced Buddhism. He said, "I was born a Hindu, but I will not die a Hindu." It wasn't just a religious decision, it was a revolution, a rejection of inequality, a choice of reason over ritual, and maybe a final act of self-respect. And yet, the path he almost chose of Sikhism shows us just how open, questioning, and thoughtful he was. Babasaheb did not just follow, he explored. He did not just believe, he chose. The next one, the resignation no one talks about. We have all seen politicians resign for power games, but Babasaheb Ambedkar, he resigned for a principle. In 1951, he was the Law Minister of India, one of the top positions in the newly independent nation. He proposed something radical. the Hindu Code Bill. It aimed to give Hindu women equal rights in marriage, inheritance, and property. Today, that sounds normal, but back then, it shook the parliament. Orthodox leaders opposed it. Some said it was against religion. Others said India wasn't ready for it. Ambedkar fought. He gave speeches. He pleaded. But when the bill was stalled, he did something unthinkable. He resigned. He said, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. Imagine that. India's chief lawmaker stepping down not for money, not for fame, but for rights of women. And that too at a time when women themselves were not even allowed to speak in many households. It was one of the boldest political moves in Indian history, but we don't talk about it enough because it didn't come with drama or slogans or breaking news. It came with quiet dignity, just like him. And the fifth, Buddha versus Marx. The debate in his mind. Most revolutionaries in the 20th century looked up to Karl Marx. After all, Marx gave the world a way to understand class struggle and inequality. But Babasaheb, he admired Marx but disagreed with him. He even wrote a book called Buddha or Karl Marx. In it, he compared the two giants. Marx believed that the only way to end exploitation was through revolution, sometimes violent revolutions. But Ambedkar said, no, violence replaces one form of oppression with another. He believed in the Buddha's way. He said the Buddha taught equality, compassion, and peace without killing anyone. In his words, the Buddha was a great teacher of equality, but unlike Marx, he taught it with love. This was a radical idea. In a world torn by war and revolution, Ambedkar offered an alternative, one that combined intellect with humanity, a path where liberation didn't need guns but reason, where justice didn't need blood but wisdom. So today, when we remember Babasaheb Ambedkar, let's remember more than just the constitution. Let's remember a thirsty boy who turned his pain into purpose, a scholar who defeated empires with his mind, a leader who chose equality over power, a thinker who questioned everything, including himself, and a man who taught us that true revolutions begins within. This was the story of 5 unknown things about Babasaheb Ambedkar. But truth be told, there are hundreds more. Because every step he took, every line he wrote, every choice he made was a lesson in courage. And a reminder that no matter who you are or where you are born, you can change the world. That's all for now. Keep watching Lokmat Times for more such stories.